So do you remember when people were suggesting that the idea that Black Lives Matter wants to abolish the police was preposterous, that really they just want to defund the police, and that no real majority of activists actually wanted to abolish the police? The people who want to abolish the police, they're just fringe outliers and, not in any way like actually related to the core of the movement. Well, here's the three founders of Black Lives Matter sitting down in their $6 million mansion discussing the issue.
Remember, we used to pretend like we weren't had to pretend like we weren't defund the police because this is a budget issue, right? And now we are talking about abolition. Yeah, we kind of just mean abolition.
So to those among you, and you know who you are, who made fun of or insulted or laughed at people for suggesting that the Black Lives Matter movement was pushing for abolish the police and not really for defund the police, how stupid do you feel now? They literally laughed. Do you remember when we had to pretend that we were about defund the police when really we were about abolish the police? You know who they're laughing at? You. They're laughing at you while sitting in a $6 million mansion that they bought with your donations that were supposed to go to, supposedly, supporting Black lives and fighting to end police brutality. So there's a double joke going on here. The first one is they always meant abolish from the beginning, exactly as I told you, and exactly as many other people told you. You dismissed it as a right-wing talking point or conspiracy theory, but this is what they were always on about. This was always their intention, exactly as we told you. And the other intention was to get a whole lot of money together to fatten their pockets. Because now all three of those women are millionaires, as I covered in my stream about the Black Lives Matter cash enterprise. So there are a lot of things right now that people laughed about or called conspiracy theories or right-wing talking points before that are clearly proving to be true. So what other stupid beliefs do you have that have been given to you by MSNBC? And I say this as, again, a person who leans to the left. Don't believe for a moment that you're not being manipulated, because you are. When you combine the issue of the attitude about wanting to abolish the police with the same attitude that seems to require that people of color not be held accountable when they're obviously guilty, you kind of get a picture. The reality here is that they would like to set themselves up as a privileged race that is allowed to commit crime with no consequences. No matter what the situation is, they are automatically innocent because of 400 years of perceived oppression that went on before they were born and before anybody else was born, who's currently living. That's what this is really about. They're being conditioned to believe that their race should be above reproach on everything. This is a supremacist ideology that is being essentially gestated in the minds of these people. So aside from the absurdity of continuing to support Jussie Smallett, even though he was found obviously guilty of perpetuating a hate crime hoax, we could also talk about what headspace someone has to be in order to actually be seeking bail for the Waukesha Parade massacre killer Darrell Brooks, which BLM Milwaukee is doing right now. It's probably the same headspace that the three jurors who refused to convict a black man of murder despite overwhelming evidence and despite the nature of his crime, because he was black. He tied up a woman and stabbed her 22 times. This was obvious murder, but the most that they would give him was manslaughter because they couldn't bring themselves to send a black male to jail. Now, I've already done videos on this tangent topic, so I won't belabor that too much in this one. I'll just link them in the cards. But to sum this up, they were always lying. They always wanted to abolish the police. And they may have other ways of trying to justify this, but the reality is, at the end of the day, they live in a world where they believe that people of color, black people specifically, should not be held accountable for their actions in some kind of karmic sense of justice for 400 years of oppression that they were not alive for. That individuals who happen to be black should gain the privilege of being let off easy from crimes or just not prosecuted altogether because of things that happened to other black people before they were born. This is again a supremacist ideology that is simply trying to establish privilege for a different group. It's not trying to abolish privilege. It's not about equality. It's again about inverting what they believe the hierarchy to be. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in, folks. These are the cards for the episodes I was talking about that I've already done on related pieces of this topic. I'm still working on a bigger video right now, which will hopefully be done by the end of the day. But thanks for tuning in. Like, subscribe, ring the bell. Please share my stuff. You can go to my website, v-radio.us, and find all of my social media so that you can communicate with me and always be sure when I'm uploading new content. Take care, everybody.